I'm going to open up the FinCom.
Yep.
At 6:01. And I'm going to waive the right to the virtual meeting. Do I have to have a vote on that?
No, you chair can just waive it so long as you mention that this is a virtual meeting.
It is a virtual
meeting.
meeting.
So you're good. Leah, do you want to open the select board?
Sure. This is Leah Waitman for the Board of Selectmen. I will open the board meeting at 6:02. May I have a motion to waive the reading of the virtual meeting requirement?
A motion can be done or it can be waived by the chair.
Okay, then as acting chair, I'll waive the reading of the virtual meeting requirement and note that we are meeting virtually.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go forward with the FinCom, and I need to get a motion on the minutes from June 18th.
We make a motion. We accept the minutes from June 18th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments, changes? Hearing none. We'll take a roll call vote. And I don't have everybody. I can't see everybody for some reason. So I know Dave is on there. So Dave.
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
I saw Ted earlier.
Aye.
I saw Carol.
Aye.
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Peter's having Wi-Fi issues. He just texted me. He'll join us shortly.
Okay, and no Tom?
No, Tom.
Okay. All right, motion passes. And then we have the minutes for June 23rd. Can I have a motion for that?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes for June 23rd FinCom meeting.
We have a
Second.
motion. We have a second?
Second.
All right, we have the motion and second. When any changes, comments, anything needs to be done on that?
Tom is now here.
Tom is now in. Thank you. All right, hearing none. Dave?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Ted?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Tom?
There we go. Aye.
Awesome. All right, motion passes. Moving on. Is the town accountant with us?
He is on his way in. He called me a little bit ago saying he was stuck in traffic driving home. He does plan to call in the next 5 to 10.
Okay. I'd like to go back to old business and do the letter that we had talked about last week.
Yes.
I'm not sure why I'm blind here, but I don't really have, there's nothing else here on my screen. Somehow I'm in a safe driving mode.
Okay.
I know we've all read it, but could we see it one more time before we vote on it?
Yes, in fact, we do have some edits that were proposed by both Karen and Ted. Karen and Ted, do either of you have a preference as to whose edits get shown first?
No.
Okay. Well, Ted's, I have yours up on the screen. So.
All right, you guys are gonna. Like I said, I'm flying blind for some reason, so I can't even get this. I'm gonna have Karen actually take over on this.
Okay. So the way Ted has got it written, it's going to read: the Finance Committee, with the help of department heads, the town administrator, and the town accountant, are proposing a balanced budget to you this evening. In order to balance this budget, we followed state recommendations in boosting our anticipated town revenue receipts by $85,000. This was done so the town would avoid being in the situation where 1/12 budget spending would occur, thus preventing our departments to provide the services required for our townspeople. As the state's budgeting process is still in the early stages and the full impact of the global pandemic is not currently known, we are expecting to come back to the town in the fall with changes to this budget. Potential changes that we may see in the fall would be further cuts to the budget, using stabilization to fund the potential shortfall, or potentially using the CARES Act funding if legislation allows.
What about that other part there, another option?
I know, I just realized. I'm sorry, Ted. In order to balance this budget, we followed state recommendations in boosting our anticipated town revenues. Another option would have been to use stabilization funds. It was decided not to. Is that where you wanted it, Ted?
Yes, my thinking was that when we originally discussed it, one of the things we wanted to strongly accomplish was indicating why at this time we didn't think using stabilization was a good time. And I just thought pushing that up a little bit higher in a letter might be a good idea. I also left that hanging ... after the word "to," not knowing if we wanted to qualify that or just leave it as we decided not to at this time.
Well, Mike, am I wrong? The state decided, changed their mind on recommending that?
Correct. As a way to ensure that town meetings went smoother during this time now where we're still adjusting, and it would be addressed in the fall.
So can I just ask a quick question? When you, I must have missed something along the way that the state has changed their mind about the suggestion about using stabilization funds. Where was I?
So back in end of May, early June, before that time, the state was saying, "Oh, this is the rainy day for your rainy day accounts."
Right.
After that, that came from the DOR, which is overseen by the Secretariat of Administration and Finance. And I think that A&F, Administration and Finance, talked to DPH, the Secretary of Public Health, to say that we're really hoping town meetings go quick, smooth, and easy this year so that people aren't gathered together in one big place for long, and that any controversial things be pushed off to the fall. So with that is when they said, adjust revenues as needed and then correct your budgets if they need correcting in the fall at a special town meeting.
So they really haven't taken away their suggestion. They're kind of just rethinking it. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
They're just saying when we have more guidance on gatherings like we would normally have at a town meeting, knowing that many people are having outdoor town meetings. If you have representative town meeting, it's going to be virtual this year. We're having a drive-in town meeting.
Gotcha.
Finding ways to just make it easy. Short, sweet, to the point. Doesn't need that much explanation because it's similar to what we usually do.
So then my suggestion for Ted's changes, maybe just skip that part, another option, because that will, or change it to, because we're already saying that we're going to be talking in the fall probably. So that, I'm not sure I like having that in there. What do you think, Ted?
I would be fine with that. In fact, I think probably the most important thing from my personal standpoint is that word anticipated.
Yes.
In there. When I first read the word boosting, almost seems like a magic trick.
Well, that's what we're doing.
And, I guess, yeah, we are. But I think adding that word anticipated is.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
That middle part, I'm fine if we don't think that's necessary.
I can tell you, and Dan can say more when he gets into the meeting. Again, he is on his way, and he is fully expected to be here this evening, as was requested. In our usual budget process, we will purposely, but we know our revenue. We can usually, in a regular, perfect world circumstance, we can say our revenues are probably $250,000 more than what we're budgeting for. And that's our buffer. In case we make a mistake and something hits the fan, that's when we say we're being conservative with our revenues. That's normally what it means. And we normally, excuse me one second, Dan, I guess, is waiting for permission to be let into the meeting. which that means I have to do that here, which we normally do around that amount. This year we didn't do that because of the current pandemic situation. Hi, Dan. And because of that, that's why we're not sure where those revenue projections are going next year because of the pandemic. Normally, if we were something about around $100,000, we'll just, Dan and I would have a conversation and we'd be like, I just bump excise tax, because we knew we'd still have a buffer there. But we just don't know for next year because of the pandemic.
Okay,
Dan,
there's a, another letter as well.
yes, let me just catch Dan up here if that's okay with you guys. Dan, just so you know, Karen and Ted have both drafted letters based off of one that they both wrote together, the first draft as well, that they'd like to include in the informational packets to give out to the residents, just letting them know that we still don't have state numbers yet. We're still waiting on, we really don't have a full grasp of our revenue projections yet because of the pandemic. So a lot of the budget's being presented as it is tonight, but we may need to address it in the fall.
Yep, and that's excellent. I think, that's important to communicate to everybody. So yeah, thank you for doing that.
Mike?
Yeah.
I know this was going to be included in the packet, but the packet doesn't always get read by everybody, so I was kind of hoping that we would be able to read this aloud before we started the budget articles.
Sure, that can work too.
I just want to make sure anybody who didn't maybe pick up stuff understands the importance, and then that way it's also in the recording for anyone who watches it later.
Yeah, sounds good. I can say everyone is going to be required. What it is when you go into checkout, and I'll go into this a little bit more in other business, and we'll discuss it in depth on Saturday. But when you drive up to the town meeting, you must check in. As always, you'll be handed a envelope, a large 11 by 15 manila envelope. In there is your information packet with the warrant, the backup materials for the zoning bylaw, a small instructional sheet explaining how the town meeting is going to run, your voting remote, and everything you need for the meeting will be in there. But yeah, I think it's a good idea we just read it, Karen, because like you said, people are going to be watching it from home if they're not coming.
Yeah, I want everyone to realize that we're not final at the end of this. We're not going to be final with our budget at this point.
Yeah, all right. And then, Karen, here is your revision.
That's the same one. It's the same one. Ted took
Ted
mine.
edited it. Okay, good. All right, yeah.
I think my recommendation would be is go with Ted's changes, except that middle piece, because I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so can we have a motion to go with Ted's letter with the changes?
So move that we go ahead with the letter as changed to present to the townspeople.
Thank you,
I
Tom.
second.
Carol, second. Okay. Any further discussion on the letter?
So Ian, I guess the only concern that I would have was I think as Ted tried to bring emphasis to it, is the word boosting. It does, I mean, I understand what we're doing. I just don't like the idea that there's no thought into what's going on. The fact of the matter is that we are anticipating, we're forecasting what our revenues are going to be, and based upon that, our revenue forecasts include the amount of money that we indicated there. I don't know, do we really need to be able to make the statement that we've gone up by 85K or whatever the number is? Do we need to make that statement, or should we just say that we are forecasting revenues based upon our prior experience or whatever?
I believe we need to be transparent. We don't want to be Wachusett Regional School District. We want to be transparent. We want to say, here's the scoop. This is what we had to do to balance this budget. We're $85,000 in the hole.
Okay, so if that's the case, then we should be saying that. If we really want to be transparent, the document really should say that we are unable to forecast enough revenues to be able to get a balanced budget. So we are modifying, adjusting, I suppose boosting is another way of putting it, but we're doing something that we don't believe is going to happen. I mean, nobody knows, I understand that. But on the same token, if we're going ahead and we're saying we're in the hole, we don't think it's going to happen, but we're going to add it anyway. If we're going to be transparent, we probably want to do that now. Just say, we don't feel that this is going to happen. Based upon the state recommendations, we are going ahead and we're going to do that.
Ted?
Can I jump in for a second, Karen? I also feel that if we quantify an amount, and let's say we get to the fall, it's not 85, it's 185. That's going to look like, how close or how, it's pretty inaccurate of a number, as, if you're going to put 85 and it's 185. That's my only concern with quantifying a specific amount.
But in the fall, we'd be able to say our revenues came in lower, or this came in lower. We'd be able to say state aid came in. We'd be able to quantify why it's now 185. Because hopefully by November, we have a state budget and we can kind of move forward.
This is a guess. Okay. This is in essence our guess of where things are going to be. And so we're including that in our numbers to be able to balance the budget.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Okay, I wouldn't characterize this as there was no thought put into this, because I think there was plenty of thought put into it. That's first of all. Number two is revenues are based on budgeted thought projection based on previous numbers, and both Dan and Mike said that these were still conservative projections based on the previous years. So we haven't pushed them further than we would normally see. We haven't pushed them beyond what we've had before. So I do agree that we could leave that number itself off, just say that we've anticipated the revenues wherever they're at and go from there.
Well, we're trying to, I missed part of that, Tom. I apologize. It buffered on me down here. What is Dan's thoughts on that number? I mean, that's why we have him here. Let's hear from him.
Well, let me, as Michael, have you shared numbers recently with the committee?
Yes.
That, that looks, that, numbers that have that $85,000 in the projection.
Yeah.
So, I think if we're talking 85, I'm thinking we're probably being a little aggressive, actually, with estimated receipts.
Yeah.
And not conservative.
So, isn't that what we want to be able to say?
My understanding was it was still conservative.
No, I was saying it was before. Yeah, it was before we decided to bump the revenues rather than use the stabilization account.
So we're really pushing this 85. The 85 is not being conservative. We're pushing the 85.
Yeah, that's rather aggressive.
Correct. And what do we really think the number will be?
Right. What's the over/under?
I mean, I honestly think
Dan, you muted yourself on accident there.
Maybe not.
I'll take care of you here, Dan. 1 second. There you go.
All right. Sorry about that.
It was the perfect spot to mute yourself, so it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could be closer to that 185 figure. Myself. Given the budget, the expenditure side that we're looking at, and then looking at the estimated receipts over the past several years, and then looking at what the effects of COVID-19 will be on those numbers, yeah, I think it could be a lot higher than 85.
So that what do you think the real number would be that we should be using today, even if is it 40,000 that we should be putting in there and then trying to figure out the difference? Is that the real number, or is it 185,000 less? I mean, should it be a negative?
I think we could get to the fall and be short 185,000 of getting our levy balanced. Tax.
Or we could be 300,000 short. Who knows?
We could be 300,000. Correct.
So we're trying to accommodate a task here, which is to present to the town a balanced budget. And if what we need in the calculations is the 85,000, or whatever the number is, 40, 50, 80, whatever the number is, we should use it to get to the balancing. Make the statement that we are being a little aggressive in our anticipation of the revenues to be able to get there now, but we have no clue what's going to happen in November when we get there, and you may see an entirely different situation.
That was the purpose of our letter, and at the moment we're debating whether or not to put an actual number in. Correct?
Correct.
But we don't have a number to put in, right?
I think the townspeople need to know we used $85,000 to balance this budget that we're not really sure of, because we don't want to take from stabilization now and then take from stabilization again in the fall.
I think that's what we need to tell them. We need to say, look, we're being very aggressive with this number. We don't think this is the right number, but we're trying to balance it, and this is how the state has asked us to proceed at this time. Basically, that's what we're telling them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that, because 85,000 is the number we need to show that we're balanced. So there's no problem saying it's 85,000, because that's what the number it took to balance the budget as presented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the two sides.
Per the state's request.
Yeah, the two sides. I mean, the states. It was whether or not we use stabilization, kind of like what I mentioned before when I had the discussion with Sean Cronin from DOR, who said this is the rainy day for your rainy day funds when he had the meeting with the managers. However, it's 85 today. We're just saying if we get that budget and state aid gets slashed by 20%, which it could be, that could very much not be 85 anymore the day after that. So it's just that up in the air that's being discussed right now.
I guess from the perspective of risk, if we go ahead and we tell the town meeting that the number is 85, and it comes back to be, as Dan was saying, 185 or more, might the town question us as to whether or not we're doing our due diligence in providing the information? I think I'm just saying that. I think what I'm just saying, or trying to say, not doing it very effectively, is that we're using the best tools that we have today to say what we think is needed to be able to get the budget balanced, and we've done that. But in the letter, we probably are anticipating saying we've done our best effort, but we don't believe it's going to be big enough, and you're going to see another requirement change in the November meeting, and it may be a lot bigger than what it was.
But Pete, we're not seeing the future. The 85,000 balances it now. We're telling them what that we know and what we think now. We could make all sorts of conjectures till next Tuesday, but at this point, 85 is what we know we need to balance it. I say we move on and get the letter done.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion?
Did we finalize whether we're putting the number in or not?
Well, right now, the motion on the floor has the number in your letter.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
So the motion would stand that 85,000 is in that letter that Ted made with the changes, I guess, in the middle. I'm not positive of what that, like I said, that middle section was. I couldn't see it, but reading how you guys are doing it. So I think that's the way that it stands. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
All right. Is there any other discussion on it? All right, let's take a vote. Dave,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Okay, there's the letter we're going to present to the town. All right. I think the next thing should be the warrant article. Am I correct?
Yes, Article 10 is the only one we have left. It is the school budget article.
Okay. I make the motion that the Finance Committee recommend the town vote unfavorably on Article 10, which is to see if the town will vote to raise such sums of money as may be necessary to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School District assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
Second.
I have
Okay.
a question. Well, first of all, does Jeff want to talk about this before we go
We do
into
have,
any discussion?
yeah, we do have 2 school committee members on the Zoom call with us this evening.
Right, I forgot. So maybe we do some more discussion because I've had some second thoughts on this since our last meeting.
Yeah, this is all for discussion at this point because we have made a motion, so it's a discussion. So, Carol, if you want to discuss, you go ahead.
Okay, can we discuss after Jeff talks?
If Jeff is willing to talk, yes, Jeff can talk.
Dan, I promise. I won't take a lot of time. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation to the meeting too. I'm sure most of you probably got the information that I sent to Michael after your meeting on Tuesday. I tried to keep it focused to some of the key points. I would say probably the critical thing is the same things that you're facing are the same things that we're facing. We don't know what the state is going to be. We do know for the first 2, I think it's the first 2 months, possibly the first 3, our state aid is going to be level with what we had for last year. They gave us that advisory basically, so we had some sense of what to think for the first couple months, and then after that, it's anyone's guess. But as you well know, beyond that, it's who knows. I did see today that with the new guidance from the state on reopening the schools, that Governor Baker is making some additional funds available to schools. It's quite a lot of money. I do not know what we'll be able to tap into as far as accessing that. I haven't spoken to Dan about it. That's Dan Deedy. So I don't know what we might anticipate from that, but it does look like at least there's another potential avenue for some relief. I tried to outline a couple things that we're doing as far as, or at least considering talking about, to try to help with the cause. And looking at some of my notes, I did see that there were other options on the table. Nothing has been decided. We were looking at athletic fees as well as some parking fee options. But the reality is that if the schools aren't open, or if they're only open, part-time for different students, I'm not really sure it's realistic to pin a lot of hopes on athletic fees or money from parking. But I did forget to mention those, so I wanted to at least bring that up. That's something that has been discussed. I probably might be more helpful to try to answer questions if you have them, or maybe as you guys discuss things, that might spark a memory or something that I need to mention.
Well, Jeff, the budget that we have in our hands is the budget that was delivered to us back in March. And that's the budget that we're going on. It doesn't, truthfully, all of the things that you're thinking of now, we can't put in the budget because the budget we have is the one that was given to us in March.
Well, you're absolutely right. We didn't we didn't draft a new budget, which I thought we might try to do. Actually, there was a period where after we approved the one that you have, and then the floor fell out, there was discussion about trying to come up with a new budget. And as we were doing that, then it was basically a foregone conclusion that we were going into 1/12. And then when we realized apparently that the potential for state aid, and in this case federal aid now, was going to go yet even deeper, further losses, I think the importance of trying to lean on the local revenues became more clear. I think there was a period where we saw a 1/12 budget as a viable, doesn't seem like the right word, but it seemed like a logical path at a certain point. But as you guys, I mean, I'm talking to the crowd that knows, we understand that the cuts are very deep and are certainly likely to be. And so the importance of the local revenue side, I'm not sure there's ever been a more important year for us. So it's kind of where we are. I wish it hadn't gone this way, but I'm only one of about 330 million people who feel that way.
Yeah. Ian, Carol has her hand up.
Carol, do you have a question?
Yeah, Jeff, if you were able to give us a new budget, what kind of a percentage, I know this is totally guessing, but I'm assuming it would be another 2%, another 4% over what we're actually talking about now, or even more. What are you, best guess? Would you even guess?
Are you asking if we could redo our budget? Yes. Would we ask for more money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know that would be a realistic ask.
I know.
Well, we're not, contrary to popular belief, we actually are aware of some of our surroundings. So let me just say this, and I'm actually proud to tell you guys this because this is the FinCom after all. When, again, on March 9th is when we approved what you have in front of you. And when we did that, when we approved the budget, there was a savings realized in the there was a savings realized in the insurance costs. Insurance costs came in lower than we projected, and so the committee voted, and we took those savings. We put those savings back to the town. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not that we're I'm not sure of the, I really understand your question, I guess, but we get about 66% of our revenue from the towns. You probably know that. And we're looking at a 20% up to a 20% reduction in state aid, which for us is about $30 million. So that 20% hit amounts to about $6. That coupled with going level on the budget from 21 to 20, that totals 10.4 million, a 10.4 million hit. So that's what, as I explained in the letter, that's why if we get the towns to approve the budget, at 10.4 becomes that hit is reduced by 3.5 million. So that's why, it's critical to us. But I certainly understand, I understand your position, and I understand that we're all in the same boat.
I have one other little question. Can I ask one other little one? Of all the extra fees that you would normally anticipate, sports, music, et cetera, parking, whatever, does that amount to any idea of percentages? I mean, 0.5%, a tenth, a 1, 2?
I mean, the
normal year.
Yeah.
Jeff, can I just step in for one quick second?
Yeah.
On the parking, just to get that out of, that really doesn't affect the budget. That really, their parking fee goes back to pay for the person that's in charge of the parking, according to the superintendent when he was at our meeting.
I think as again, this is taken from notes that were distributed at one of our recent meetings, but they were looking, and it hasn't been determined yet, but the district was considering, I think the play was to allow more people to have access to the parking lot, which could have raised more revenue.
Okay.
But again, I'm simply saying that if we're not having a full regular year of school, I'm not sure how realistic that is. That's all.
And
But,
according to the governor today, you guys are supposed to get a plan back to DESE on if you can actually even do the classrooms and how you would present that. Right?
We have a task. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
We do have a task force that's actually meeting for this very purpose. I believe actually one of the members of that is on this meeting right now, Sherry. Yes.
You want me to speak to that?
Yes, please do.
The task force did have their final meeting yesterday. We do have full recommendations, everything from medical to transportation, technology, remote learning. It is set up in the 3 sections as DESE requested. It is being finalized right now, and it should be to administration within the next few days.
And Sherry, since we have you and you're speaking to that, I mean, what is that looking at for your costs? Was there a number?
No, not an overall number. There's a number for PPE. I would honestly have to look that up. But beyond that, there isn't a number, simply because we don't have the final plan for transportation. We don't have, if we're going to have a hybrid model or not. It's all about how we're going to make them work rather than how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, to Jeff and to both of you, I mean, the town is in the same boat. We're not sure where the money's coming from for us, for our revenues, and for state aid as well. We're still waiting for that budget, and that's part of this major discussion.
Sure. That's obviously some of the great question marks we've had. As you probably know, I think I mentioned it in the letter. We've tried to in school committee meetings. There's been discussion amongst the members, and it's been suggested that for example, that district-wide there was a strong consideration of a pay freeze, and those are some steps that could be beneficial. You probably understand why people don't particularly like those ideas, but that's the kind of when you look at the different options that we have, when you weigh the different possibilities that the committee has studied to help put a dent in this, that's one of the more effective ones. And again, getting approval from the towns is also again a 3. I think I misspoke. It's a 3.4 million. I might have said 3.5. It's a $3.4 million lift out of the hole we're in.
Any other questions for either Jeff or Sherry, or any other comments or questions for?
I have one.
Sure. Go ahead.
As far as our town this year, from my understanding, with everything that's happened over the last 6 weeks, we're closer to maybe a balanced budget than we would have thought. We're obviously in bad shape. We do have the stabilization that we may end up we will end up using some differently than in prior years. I think about possible CARES money. I'm guessing, I'm hoping, I'm praying, I just think maybe we ought to rethink approving it.
I would like to read something that was posted by a select board member and then for the public, and then give the answer. This was posted and it said, as of today, the finance committee who presents the budget articles to the town is in agreement on all articles on this warrant save the WRSD and the town budget. It is my sincere hope that having done their own research, they will see that this year is a year we can and should pass the requested school budget. I'll go into detail in another post, and the rest of it doesn't matter. In the end, although we can make this budget a balanced budget, every single one of our town departments has taken a hit to make this to where we're at. Although we have equipment needs in DPW that we're not doing. We have all these things that the town has had to cut to get to this point. We aren't giving our town departments what they need. So although, yes, we're $85,000 short this year right now, as things stand. However, we're not giving our town departments that serve every single member of the town what they need.
And
I
what
speak
about
to
the
that?
schools?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to speak to that. And I'm sure, Karen, I'm sure you're right. I hear you. We are in the same situation. Understand that. In fact, even before this crisis hit, when we approved that budget on March 9th, we had done, and this predates me because you might remember I was appointed in December. So this work predated my arrival, but there was exhaustive work done from the ground up in the schools to identify staffing needs. This is just one example. I'm not talking about equipment. I'm not talking about buildings. I'm not talking about school supplies and Chromebooks. This is just for people, Exhaustive work done to identify needs for staffing across the 5 towns. And after a lot of work bubbling up from the schools and then through the administration and then paring down, not building up, paring down at the committee level, we came up with 29 positions that were what we deemed as high need, not luxury, but high need. When we did the budget, guess what? We approved 7 because we realized you don't just go in there like, Santa with a Christmas cart and load up. We approved a 4th of positions that we recognized as high need. Well, guess what? Those positions are, I think, save one, those are out the window now because of what's going on. So you, Karen, and the town of Rutland and members of the committee, I can tell you, yes, I recognize that you have needs, and you know what? So do we. And we were paring down even before this crisis began. We've been in a deficit position, and we've been trying to work ourselves out of a hole for a while. And what my fear is, amongst all the others, what my fear is that the further we go down in this valley in terms of losing personnel, and we've already lost some people I hate that we've lost. The further we go down this hole, the more people we lose, the longer it's going to take us to recover, even after this is over. We go deep down.
I don't want to interrupt, but hold on a second. We got to stick with the budget that we got in March. We can't worry about what goes forward.
I'm responding to that.
Budget that we received in March. I understand that you didn't get everything you wanted, but every year since I've been on the committee, we cut our town departments year after year after year. And we keep cutting, and we're getting to the point where we potentially, my belief is we will need that stabilization money for some of those projects that we've had to keep putting off and putting off and putting off every year. And so, it's also very hard when we don't get transparency from the school district.
I understand the history here is not what I would personally choose. I think that I've tried to make myself available.
You're wonderful.
And when I really have made it a mission, and I think the Board of Selectmen might even remember when I was appointed, I've made it a mission to try to help increase the trickle of information to much more of a creek and much better flow of information between the town and the district. I find that to be very important, and I hope I've been able to do that to some degree. I'll keep working at it.
Jeff,
Ian,
we do appreciate you in what you've done, and you are being honest, and we really, this is the best that we've ever had over the years from our school committee members and coming and speaking like this.
Well,
so again, thank you. I believe
Carol and Mitch both have their hand up.
Carol first and then Mitch.
Okay, the only thing I want to comment, and I totally appreciate, Karen, the way what you're saying, because you're absolutely right. The only difference that I think that we all need to think about is that the schools is one of our town committees. It is our people. It does affect every single person. I'm not in school anymore, but it affects me. We all have kids, grandkids, friends, neighbors. Every penny that they don't have, they're hurting. Every penny we don't have as far as town services, we're hurting. So they're just another part of what it is that we're putting our money to. And this year, maybe more than most, it seems like it's the year that we probably ought to approve the budget.
All right,
That's
Mitch.
I know. I just want to address Karen. I know that I just want the post doesn't reflect the board as a whole. Obviously,
I know. That's why I said it was as a select person.
Right, and the validity of that is even, I think, in question. We're still waiting on election results, so I just, let's not, I think, put the cart before the horse.
Yeah. But I needed it out to the public, to anybody who's watching this, to understand that this was out there and that it's not that we haven't really hurt to get to this point.
And thank you for bringing attention to that, but I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions or comments or?
I just want to say thank you. I greatly appreciate the chance to be here, and I'd like to be able to do it more. I'm happy to do it more. Luckily budgets only come once a year, but always, please feel free to ask. I just really think this is very important, and I'm happy to do it.
Thank you for all the help you gave me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, we have seen the budget, finally, and we know how hard you're working, and Sherry as well, the two of you. And we do appreciate it. We're just trying to figure out what to do for the town. It's not anything against what's going on with the school committee or that. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how to give a balanced budget without trying to raise taxes, without trying to cut essential sources as well. I know we're losing some teachers, but we're not also gaining any officers or any DPW, or we're not trying to add positions. And in the town.
I understand. I'm also on the business and finance committee, so I really, really respect what you guys do. Really, really, really understand. I truly do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote on the motion. Dave, this is a motion to recommend that we do not support the budget.
Right.
Aye.
Dave is an aye. Karen?
Aye.
Ted? Okay, Ted can't vote.
Abstain.
Abstains. Thank you. Pete?
Aye.
Carol?
No.
Tom?
Tom's
Hear
mute.
you, Tommy.
Sorry, I've got the little button. Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. All right, any other business? We want to go over the town meeting?
Just that there was an infographic sent out to all of the members of the Finance Committee, Select Board, and all town department heads this morning, as well as the town moderator, to go over the process for logistics just for the town meeting in terms of getting there, let alone running the actual meeting itself, which is another story in and of itself, but we don't have till midnight this evening. So residents will and officials will enter through the Glenwood driveway where the stone sign is on Glenwood Road. When you get to the stop sign by the fire hydrant, there is a left-hand turn that goes around the back of the school. All town department heads and finance committee and select board members will take that left-hand turn and park behind the school, where there will be signs indicating where the finance committee will park, where the select board will park, and where department heads will park. All town residents, so the FinCom, select board, and department heads whom are residents, will then have to just go and go to their spots, drop their things off, and then go get checked in, which is where you'll receive your voting clicker and your information packet. All residents will continue on towards Glenwood and take the left-hand turn as if you are going in front of the front door. From there, you will be directed to one of 3 separate check-in areas by a member of our fire department. And it is not 1, 2, and 3 based off of your precinct, as has been thought by some people. It is 1, 2, and 3 based on whatever one is open at the time you get there. When you get to check-in, you'll be checked in just like you would at any normal town meeting. However, you will also be given that information packet that has the warrant, the motions, the explanation behind everything, your voting remotes, and so on from there. And you will then be guided toward the back parking lots where you will park facing the school itself. We are currently in discussions with Anita, Chief Knight, and myself to see how many cars we will put across in the parking lots. We know we can fit 5 cars across in a parking lot. However, we think the initial fill-in we're going to do is 3 and leave lanes in between the 2 rows. That way, in the event that someone does need to absolutely leave during the middle of the meeting, we have an avenue for you to get out. However, we are encouraging that everyone please stay for the duration of the meeting due to the complicated logistics behind this meeting. Randy will run a couple test runs with the new voting remotes just because it is so new for people. And then we will get going. The radio station is 89.1 FM. And for those who have concerns either about their car battery or their car shuts off and goes to sleep on them after the 5 minutes and so on from there, if you've got one of the new push button cars rather than the key that makes it so you can't go into accessory mode, just roll down your windows. We will have a PA system available there too. So you will be able to hear outside and or through the radio if you want a louder, clearer version of that. The last thing I will say is we are sanitizing the microphones in between each use. We do have some of the Boy Scouts who will be going to different cars for people who have questions. If you will have a question in the town meeting, we are asking that you turn your hazard lights on in your car. The runners will be looking for those flashing lights as they are going through the parking lot to signal that you have a question. If your question does get asked before we get to you and it gets answered, please remember to turn your hazards off just so we can save a couple minutes there. Things are going to go fine in the end. We will have our town meeting. There are only 17 articles, so God willing, things go fine. And we'll do everything we can. I want to thank all of those who have done a ton of work to try to get this off the ground and going. Nothing during this pandemic has been ideal, let alone planning a drive-in town meeting. So I just wanted to thank them again for that. And if there are any questions that come up, excuse me, that come up between now and the town meeting, which is taking place at 4 p.m., not at its usual time, on Saturday, please contact me at any time. My cell phone number is 774-764-8703. Either myself or someone from my staff will have that phone on them, and we will answer your questions that are town meeting related at that time. That is a temporary number, so after Saturday, that number will no longer be active. So just
what is it, Mike? Say it again.
774-764-8703.
Burner phone.
Yeah, Google Voice. Yes, Ted. Ted, you are muted right now. Go ahead.
Sorry. What are the last 4 digits of that number?
8703.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mike,
again, yes.
In the demo that was held, I guess it was last week sometime.
Yep.
There was a comment about this stretching the capabilities of the system, and that there was maybe a distance issue from where the antenna would be out to the corners of the parking lot. Will they be doing things to make sure?
Yeah, we bought an extender.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
They didn't have it when we were there. And they didn't say.
Yeah.
I didn't get the impression that was available.
Yeah, we've done a couple more tests and it seems to work fine.
Super.
But again, the PA system is there as the backup.
Okay.
In the event that the voting remotes do not work for some reason, everyone in their packets will be getting a sheet of red paper and a sheet of green paper. If worse comes to worse, it's hold your paper outside your window Red means no, green means yes. And then our microphone runners will act as counters. So we do have a plan A through F for everything for this meeting. And it should be good. When you get to the school, the finance committee will be on the side closest to the driveway up on that tar walkway that is there. And the tables are actually on that tar paved area. The select board will be on the grassy side on the other side of the walkway. Myself, Attorney Goldberg, Anita, and Damien will be behind Randy, who will have a podium in the dead center. Ted.
I had this thought when I was at the demo the other day. Let's just say that 100 people show up. There's 100 clickers out, and a vote is taken, and only 80 of those clickers register. Does that present a problem, or does that just mean 20 people didn't vote?
Correct. The latter of those two that are there.
Okay.
We are going to instruct people that when you vote, you actually get the word okay written across the screen on your remote. If you do not see okay, your vote did not go through. Please turn your hazards on and notify us immediately. However, if we get 101 vote and then 80 in the next, anyone at any town meeting has the right not to vote on an article if they so choose. We don't recommend it because everything is placed on the warrant for a reason. It's the same reason why we don't recommend people leaving early after a certain article is done. However, we have to go with whatever is turned in at that vote once the gavel is called in.
Mike, they used this up in Sterling last week?
They did, and it went fine.
Thank you.
Yes, we did send someone out to go observe that meeting to check how it went so we could kind of kick some of the issues we may have here. Anita and Damien have been working their tails off on this, so again, just thank you to them. Not like they didn't have enough to go on right now. But.
Did any other town have a meeting yet?
Sterling is the only one who did. Paxton moved theirs to August 29th, and Princeton is having theirs at 10 in the morning on the same day as ours.
Okay.
Yeah. We have been putting out information on the town's Facebook page to all the residents to get them informed. We'll be doing the same thing with the website and an email blast. Tomorrow's post will all be about the warrant articles themselves and the information that will be in the packet. So if residents have questions, they can check either our website or our social media pages, and it should be on either of those there too. And that is all I have. Oh, yes?
What time did we agree that we were going to meet there? 3?
3 o'clock. The select board is meeting at 2:30. The finance committee is meeting at 3. Those are last minute meetings to see if there's any housekeeping we need to do. And if you remember at the last meeting, that's where we said we also have to designate one person from each group to be the spokesperson for that group at the meeting. That way we're not passing a microphone from one person to another, just to avoid any potential exchanges that happen there. Lyndon, let me just say this and then I'll get to you right there. The tables that we are using are from the community center. They're the 8-foot long tables. There are 2 on either side. What we did is for the community center, we had already purchased plexiglass dividers that go on the table to separate spaces in the at the tables. Under the regulations, if those dividers are up, we do not need to be 6 feet apart from each other and have one person down at Glenwood and the other person down on Palmagussit. So by doing so, we can still sit at the table while safely protected from each other. Not that I'd rather not be with any of you guys, but just to make sure we are following the regulations that are in place. Those are there to make sure we all fit. Lyndon.
Yeah, Mike, I was just wondering if there'd be some kind of like an all call or anything for especially like our seniors who don't have computers or access.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow. In fact, I'm the one who's recording it, so I know for a fact we're doing it tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
They're still calling for rain on Saturday, which I'm not anticipating, but so what's the plan?
So we're hoping that this is one of those things where it's been hot and humid every day, so the weathermen just tell us it's going to rain every day until it actually rains, because we know it's coming. However, in the event of inclement weather, the moderator under state statute, not even as a result of the pandemic, has the right to postpone a town meeting to a date and time certain that is to be announced to the public any ways that we have available to us the day of the meeting. So that would be up to Randy to make that call sometime early that afternoon. And he has to say this specific day, this specific time, this specific place.
Wow.
Are there any other town meeting questions? I know this is a very odd situation we're in, so I'm happy to answer them. Ted.
So, if it has to be postponed, I'm guessing it's going to get postponed beyond June 30th.
Then Dan and I spoke. The select board approved the 1/12 plan. We submitted that to the state, so we submitted a 1/12 plan as a plan B in case we couldn't have town meeting by June 30th.
Okay.
Tom, did you have your hand up, or was that not for us? Tom, you're muted.
I don't know about anybody else, but my connection's pretty bad tonight.
Yeah, I've had the
Okay,
same.
there you go, Tom.
Been buffering.
Tom, did you have anything? You froze. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't.
No, I was saying goodbye to my grandkids out the window.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Just making sure.
I'm sorry.
Are there any other last minute questions on the logistics of town meeting when you get there? We are in the process of exploring a Facebook Live and or other type of video feed from closer up. We understand that people may want to see. There were some discussions that were had about getting a screen. However, it is the way that the cars are facing is east, and the sun is directly across from us at that time as it is setting, so it actually would glare out any screens that we have there. So we are in the process of seeing whether we do some type of either a Facebook Live, a Zoom, or something like that for people who are either in their cars and want to have a closer look, or don't feel comfortable going to the meeting because of the current pandemic, though we are encouraging everyone to go. However, I don't want to do that unless we can confirm that we are closing off all access to comments and or chats or anything of that nature associated with the video, because I don't want people to think that they can vote by commenting on the video. If we're talking about Article 12 in the video, I don't want someone going on Facebook and writing yes and thinking that yes was their vote on Article 12, when you have to be present at the meeting to vote. But because everyone is so used to these video meetings now, it's something we actually have to make sure people realize that they are not participating in the meeting if they're watching. They have to actually be present there for that. Virtual town meeting is only allowed for representative town meetings. Mitch, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, my question was going to be around the Facebook thing. First, I think it's good that you're shutting off comments just because social media is a horrible place. But the other question I would have surrounding that, though, is, I mean, is there any thought to, if you're having the meeting and you can view it on social media or Facebook, we want to make sure that people at the meeting are not using that platform or on their phones trying to communicate with other people in like a private manner concerning voting and things like that. There's just huge concerns that I have about the use of social media and projecting these things because of the ability to communicate. I like the fact that we have a town meeting where people can voice opinions openly and kind of debate before voting. And I just want to make sure that the integrity of that is kept intact, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I get it. Like I said, these are all just ideas that have since been thrown around that we are currently trying to work through before we get there Saturday at 4. But yes, those are all valid concerns.
Thank you.
I wouldn't think we'd need to go beyond standard cable TV coverage.
Correct. And it's going to be posted on YouTube and on TV just like it normally is.
All right. Any other business for the Finance Committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Dave.
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
Ted.
Aye.
Pete.
Get out of my house.
Pete.
I think he froze.
All right. Carol.
Aye.
Sorry, I was muted. Aye.
Keith and I. Tom.
Aye.
All right. The motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned at 7:06.
Leah, we have a quorum of the board still, so you need to close the meeting.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn from the board. Selectmen.
I will make that motion unless Lyndon, you want your first motion of the board to be one to adjourn.
Oh, you're muted. Hold on 1 second.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There you go, Lyndon. He seconded.
You already shut me up, Mike.
Roll call, please.
For City, aye.
Nichols, aye.
Whitman, aye. We're adjourned at 7:07 p.m.